So Pokemon Pokopia is absolutely doing incredible and becoming that massive system seller that Nintendo absolutely needed to close out the fourth quarter. Now, we are going to get those numbers when it comes to what Nintendo has done in May, so look out for that. But for right now, what is happening is that Pokemon Pokopia is helping to move a lot of systems as the Pokemon and Animal Crossing base converge together to pick up the Nintendo Switch 2. There is a lot of evidence of this, and now we actually have solid evidence in the form of actual numbers from the Famitsu sales, because things have skyrocketed quite a bit when it comes to Pokopia and when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 system sales. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. So Pokemon Pokopia, the opening debut sales in Japan. We've gotten an update from Nintendo when it comes to worldwide sales and when it comes to the Japanese specific sales as well. And there's a lot of interesting things in here. So Pokemon Pokopia sales have topped 2.2 million in 4 days. That's 1 million plus units in Japan alone. So the total sales 2.2 million. Nintendo put out a press release, and even Mr. Omori from the Pokemon company was very happy and probably somewhat surprised that Pokemon Pokopia has done this well. Now, to put it in perspective, spin-off Pokemon games obviously don't do as well as the mainline big games. Most of the time when you get a spin-off Pokemon game, it's going to top sell around 2 million to 5 million, but Pokemon Pokopia has already sold 2.2 million, making it one of the better Pokemon spin-off games right off the top. So that's definitely a good thing. Mr. Joe Merrick on Twitter put up a tweet talking about this, and Pokemon Pokopia is already right in the middle of Pokemon spin-offs. And the top or best-selling one is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue at 5.8 million. So Pokemon Pokopia has already done quite a chunk of that when it comes to just 4 days on the market, and that's the beginning of the Nintendo Switch 2's life. It still has the whole generation to sell, and I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to make a Pokemon Pokopia 2. I mean, maybe they will in a number of years, but right now it seems like they're going to stick with Pokemon Pokopia, update it with new Pokemon or challenges and habitats. So I can see Pokemon Pokopia selling significantly more than Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue, and becoming easily the best-selling Pokemon spin-off of all time. And I think that's the reason why maybe that there was a bit of undersupply with the game, because once again, out of all of the Pokemon spin-off games, the best-selling one has only done 5.8 million, which is still really good when it comes down to that, but obviously compared to other big Pokemon games, nowhere near as high. So Pokemon is selling at a very nice clip, a lot higher than any other Pokemon spin-off game. Now, we also have actual direct sales numbers from Japan, so it gives us a little bit more insight on the physical to digital split just in Japan, because the Famitsu sales from March 2nd, 2026 through March 8th, 2026 have been revealed. So Pokemon Pokopia had one of the biggest, if not the biggest, retail launch for a Nintendo Switch 2 game, maybe outside of course, Mario Kart World, and that was bundled with it, but pretty much the biggest individual launch of a Nintendo Switch 2 game, with 541,371 units in that few days that it was on sale, because it was March 5th, so it's got 3 days of sales data. Now, the bigger thing here, or one of the bigger things more like it, is that it actually helped boost Nintendo Switch 2 sales significantly. So last week, the Nintendo Switch 2 sold around 85,000 units in the ramp up to Resident Evil Requiem's launch, which is definitely good. But this week, the Nintendo Switch 2 sold 127,508 units in Japan, showing that there was a massive push, 40K more. And of course, Nintendo obviously anticipated more people would be picking up the system. 40K more units in Japan for the launch of Pokemon Pokopia over the previous week. So it is absolutely a system seller. And once again, what Nintendo needed heading into the last quarter to hit that 19+ million units sold overall, because there is different regional pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2. In some countries, it's a bit of a tougher sell for people right now because it's more expensive compared to Japan or compared to the US. But right now, Pokemon Pokopia is absolutely carrying the Famitsu sales, and the Nintendo Switch 2 has sold well more than 100,000 units more than any other platform in comparison, which you guys can see the comparison right here. Now, another thing that Pokemon Pokopia is doing here, it's also helping carry other games that some people maybe felt didn't do as well, but stay relevant as people pick up the Nintendo Switch 2 and multiple titles to have. So, for example, Mario Tennis Fever, that's still in the top 10. That was number 4 with another 9,626 units. Or even Animal Crossing New Horizons makes its way back into the top 10. So people are picking up multiple cozy games because of this. Or even if you look at it, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, the Nintendo Switch 2 version is actually now outpacing the Nintendo Switch 1 version physical units. So I do think that Pokemon Pokopia, the extra people that are coming in and picking up this game and Animal Crossing and Dragon Quest and Mario Kart World and Mario Tennis Fever, it's going to continue on as we get the, I would say, middle to second half of Nintendo's lineup for the Nintendo Switch 2. So very interesting there. Obviously, Pokemon Pokopia helping move a lot of systems, not just in Japan. We're going to get the US sales and we're going to get like European sales. We'll get all of that in May. So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how it did and how everything's doing so far. And I wasn't 100% sure that Pokemon Pokopia was going to be a big system seller, but I felt that if they could tap into the Animal Crossing base, that they could sell a lot, and that's exactly what it's been doing so far. Also, to put into perspective, Super Mario Odyssey, when that game launched, that sold 2 million units plus in the first number of days. So Pokemon Pokopia actually matched what Super Mario Odyssey's done. Now, I don't know if it's going to sell 30 million units plus lifetime like Super Mario Odyssey has done, but I do think it's going to do incredibly well when it's all said and done. Definitely 10 to 15 million units plus, if not way more than that. So what do you guys think about Pokemon Pokopia and what it's done here for the sales for the Nintendo Switch 2 and of course the game and other Switch 2 titles as well? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic. We got to discuss what's happening with SEGA right now, because SEGA has stated in their most recent financial meetings that while their games are highly rated, it's not necessarily translating into sales, as a lot of their games are not meeting sales expectations. So SEGA had this to say, and I'm abbreviating it just a bit when it comes down to it, but here's what they're going to do about it. It's easy to talk about it and doom post and say SEGA's not doing well, this and that, but what are they going to do to actually improve the situation? So here's what they said. They're going to hone the dev capabilities. They're going to improve sales and marketing. They're going to optimize digital sales pricing, and they're going to go more towards an IP-based marketing focus. And the games that they're talking about games like Sonic Racing Crossworlds and Metaphor ReFantazio. Both of these games were highly rated. With Metaphor ReFantazio, that game was Game of the Year for a lot of outlets, and it was rated 94, 93 or so plus when it comes to Metacritic ratings. So I think that that's the game that they're looking at. And also Sonic Racing Crossworlds, that game was rated also very well for a kart racing game, low 80s. That's really good. A lot of people felt that it was a fantastic game. A lot of people played it, but the problem is that it got discounted very quickly, and now it's not necessarily selling that great. So there's a number of different things that they can do. All the stuff that they said here in terms of IP-based marketing focus, optimize digital sales, improve sales and marketing, yes, that's all good. But I think that the focus of where they're trying to market has been a problem in some of the campaigns. I think that with Metaphor ReFantazio, I think it was very silly to have an Xbox focused marketing campaign. There were a number of PlayStation 5 users, and yes, maybe they should have known that it was coming, but they didn't because of the Xbox focused marketing. A lot of times when you saw trailers, it only showed the Xbox logo. Some people felt that it was an exclusive or a timed exclusive, so they did not buy the game. Now, another problem that Metaphor deals with, and the same thing with Persona and a lot of Sega or Atlas RPGs, is that people anticipate or expect there to be a gold edition or a new edition of the game, a Vengeance edition, to where it has all of the content plus more, and they update the game and it's way better, and there's no discount or transfer or anything. It's years and years and years of conditioning people to know that there is another version of the game coming, and that version's going to be way better. So I think a lot of people said, you know what, I will wait for that version, because they did it multiple times with Persona. They did it with Shin Megami Tensei. They did it with so many of their games. Persona is the biggest culprit here, to where you buy a copy of Persona 5, then all of a sudden there's another copy of Persona 5, and you can't even transfer over anything. You can't do anything at all. You've got to buy that Persona 5 world to get that new content. You've got to buy it again. And if you really love the game, then you're just going to buy it again. And then if you want to get it on the PlayStation 5 to get the 60 FPS, you got to buy it again. And there's no transfer, there's no discount, there's no anything. They just release it as a separate SKU. So I do think that years, decades really, of doing that has caught up to them when it comes to a lot of their games, but especially their RPGs. So they have to learn about that, which Sega did acknowledge that, yes, they know that people are kind of waiting for the games. And I think that that's what happened with Metaphor ReFantazio. I also think that the shifting landscape of JRPGs, obviously not having it on Nintendo for a JRPG is probably a bad idea. Now, they're probably going to release it on the Nintendo Switch 2, and obviously Metaphor came out at the end of 2024, so there's really nothing that you can do about that. You just have to wait for the Nintendo Switch 2 to come out. But yeah, I think that not having it on there obviously was a blow to the sales too. Now let's talk about Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I think that this game, for a kart racer, the fact that you kind of did a marketing scheme that went up against Nintendo, in a way, I think that it was funny and it was cool and there was certain things about it, but I think that ultimately, I think it turned people off from the game. I also think that a lot of people feel that that's too much for a Sonic spin-off game, that being a $70 game at launch, and then of course multiple DLC packs that cost even more that add to it. So I think that PlayStation and Xbox PC people, they're not going to rush out and buy a Sonic spin-off racing game at $70, and the worst version of the game at launch was the version of where most of your fans or most of your sales are going to come from, and that's the Nintendo Switch 1. So they made a 30 FPS version of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. That's just not good enough for where most of the people that are going to be interested or buy this game is coming from, because the Xbox and PlayStation people aren't rushing out to buy $70 Sonic Racing spin-off, you know. So to me, I felt that that was a big mistake, not making a better Switch 1 version. Now, yes, there is a Switch 2 version that came out last year digitally and is coming out in March here physically, but the staggered release of not having it on the Nintendo Switch 2 all ready to go right around the time or so when it comes to it, I think that was a big mistake. Now, we'll see how it does in the long term, but most people that are going to buy this game are going to wait to super sales, just like Sega already stated that, yeah, this is not necessarily done as well as they would have hoped, and it was discounted very quickly, so they're making less of a return on the units because it was discounted down to like $30 or so, or $40 during Black Friday. It was very quick when it comes to the sales. So that's the unfortunate thing here. Now, once again, Sega can rebound. They just have to make some better decisions when it comes to their sales marketing focus like they talked about here, because they do have good games. But we'll see what happens in the future when it comes to it. I do think that Metaphor ReFantazio will come to the Nintendo Switch 2, and I think that's going to help out with sales if they're going to have like a deluxe edition of the game, where they're going to have like expansion or DLC content. We'll see about that. But what is vital is that if they do something like that, like a Metaphor ReFantazio Gold, they need to have an upgrade path for people that have already bought the game. Don't make it a separate SKU. So improving the sales and marketing aspects, optimizing digital sales pricing, give people options to be able to convert over easier and quicker than just saying buy another version of the game that you already have and know you're saved that it doesn't transfer over. They've got to do a better job with that. So I think that honing that dev capabilities, improving and infusing the sales and marketing aspect with the game development aspect, that needs to be better, because Sega or Atlas is not going to get the sales that they want when they're doing things like this. So that's something that they absolutely need to improve. So we'll see what happens there. So what do you guys think when it comes to Sega and they're underperforming when it comes to some of the sales expectations with Metaphor, Sonic, and some of their games? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. Let's talk about Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, because there are more details about this game. I did discuss some of it in a video that I did recently. Don't know how many of you guys saw it, but I wanted to go over some other stuff and go over some interesting information that I felt that people were saying online. So Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, we've got a new trailer that came out recently, and we've got details on the price. So it is going to be a $60 game. That is digital and physical. There was a fake image of a game key card going out to people on Twitter and stuff because people were trying to troll. It's not a game key card. It's a regular standard Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge, but it's a $60 game. It's not $70. So some people were kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Is the game not as good or something? It's like, no, it's a 2D Yoshi platformer that doesn't have the same pull as Mario or something like that. So it's going to be $60. The variable pricing, that's always been a thing, but here it is as well. The game is officially launching on May 21st, 2026. So that's coming up not too long from now. The game is a pretty big file size for a 2D platformer. So this is the thing that kind of tripped people up. It's 20.6 gigabytes in file size. Now, here's the thing. The game could actually go down in file size beforehand. A lot of times the file sizes are a bit bigger, and then as they refine and hone in and kind of lock in on the release date of the game or get closer to more like the launch of the game, sometimes that does go down. So I do think that'll probably go down, but let's just say hypothetically that it doesn't. 20 gigabytes is pretty big for a 2D platformer. Now, where is the 20 gigabytes? Could it be the music uncompressed? Could it be a lot of stages? Could it be the graphic techniques or style that they use for the animations in the game? There's a lot when it comes down to it because you just don't know where some of the stuff comes from. Usually big audio files are what takes up a lot of space, but this game could also run native 4K too. So if this game is running native 4K textures and resolution plus high quality audio and a lot of different music uncompressed, then I think that's where a lot of the file size could come from. But once again, we will see once the game officially launches. And it is a Switch 2 exclusive. There is no Switch 1 version, so people that are still on Switch 1, sorry about that. But I've seen quite a number of Switch 1 people rising up on Twitter. It actually was even trending on my page the other day. But I think a lot of people are just looking at the process of moving from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Switch 1 has been around for so long, but if you're going to want to play a lot of the new big Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives from Nintendo, you're going to have to upgrade from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Another thing that some people maybe don't know, a lot of you guys probably know that here, but a lot of people don't know, at least online, is that the Switch 2 actually plays all your Switch 1 games, and you can easily transfer everything over. So also keep that in mind if you're looking to get Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, or to get Pokopia, or any of these other games, you can transfer over all your stuff from Switch 1 to Switch 2. It's pretty easy too when it comes to the transfer process. So what do you guys think about everything here? There was a lot of content to go over. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.